All right, today we're going to talk about project number 3. Project number 3, we're going to start working with pen and ink work, and in this particular case, line work with vertical lines. Now, for this project, you're going to have a choice. You can set up a still life at home. I would probably use about 5 objects and set up a still life, and then you would draw a portion of that still life like the one that's in frame right now. If you don't want to use your own still life, you could go onto the internet, to Google or to Bing, and get a photograph of a still life and use that. Or you could pull up a photo of something that you like, animals, landscape, whatever. Okay? So, and I'm going to show you one of those in just a minute. But if you'll notice, the still life, you draw the still life first with pencil. And then after you get the pencil line drawing done, then you come back and you put the shading in with pen. Now, as you can see in here, where these dark areas are, in here, all these places in the candlestick, and you can tell where it's a little darker right in here. This side's a little darker than this side. I drew those lines in first. Like I took my pencil and I did a light line right down there like this. Or I did a light shape in the shape of that dark area. Here, here, those. I did those shapes first with pencil. And I just did the shape. I did not do the line work. Okay, I just wanted to know where those things were so that when I put the line work in, I would know what shape it was and where it was located. Okay, so that's an example of a still life, and that one was done in class. Normally in class we have a still life sitting out, but being that we're virtual right now, you're either going to have to set up your own still life, and like I said, I'd use about 5 objects, or you're going to have to use a photo. All right, let me show you something with a photo. Okay, here's a photo. Let me make sure it's kind of where you guys can see it. All right, I did a photo of a gorilla, and this is a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper right here. Okay, so if you do this, make sure it's big, it fills up the whole piece of paper, and then you take a piece of your sketchbook paper, and that's going to go underneath. Let me grab my sketchbook. I've got a bigger sketchbook right here so that I can show you a little bit of this. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, if you go this route, you can draw it. Just straight up draw it if you would like. But what is more important to me right now is that you learn the technique of the vertical lines. Okay? So, if you want to, you can print out your picture. Could be anything. No cartoons, no anime. It has to be a photograph. Okay? So, animal, still life, landscape, etc. Once you get your photograph printed, if you have a printer, let it dry for a little while, and then take pencil and put pencil all over the back. I just took a pencil, I put pencil all over the back of it like this, made a nice coat, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and I'm going to center it up on my page where it's in a good spot, and take some tape and stick it down like that. Now, if you take your pencil at this point and you draw your image, and I want the white image around his little beard there, and I want the dark image in here. See, I would do all of these shapes just like they look. The holes in his nose right here. Okay. Okay. I think you get the picture. All right. As you're doing that, let me pick this up so that I can show you. There we go. It's coming off on the paper. Let me move my arm. There we go. You can see that coming off on the paper. All right. So draw everything, his shoulders, the rest of his head, his ears, his eyes, the rest of his chin down through here. You would draw everything that you need. Okay. Once that's all drawn, then you would start adding your pen and ink work. Okay. So I'm going to add just a little bit more to this. Just so you can see a little bit how to get started. Okay. All right. And once I had the whole gorilla done, then I would put my gorilla over here where I could see it, and I would start putting my vertical lines in. I like to start with the dark areas. Let me pull that down so you can see it a little better. I like to start with the dark areas. So I would go in here to his nose, and I would start with my vertical lines, like that. Okay? They're all vertical, they're straight up and down. The closer you place them together, the darker they look. So that may or may not be dark enough. I don't think it probably is. So I'd probably go back in and I'd probably add some more lines in there. Same thing here. But I want to make sure that they stay vertical, because that's the line technique that we're doing. Vertical line. All right. Get down here to his mouth. And you just follow your shapes. And then follow your shading. And this is just a regular old Bic pen. The old-timey kind of Bic pen. They work great. They draw really well, and the ink is very nice color. It will get very dark. Okay? And like I said, the closer you pack the lines together, the darker they look. Now you can see out here where this is very light. His nose, there's light reflecting off of it. So in this area, I would keep my lines still vertical, but I would spread them out. Okay? Now obviously I didn't draw everything I should have drawn, but that's how I would get started. Okay? So that's your kind of your look into how to draw things and get started. Make sure you draw your image first. You get it all drawn. And like I say, while it's taped down, you can kind of pick up one edge of the tape, or you could put the tape. I could have done this and put a piece of tape here and a piece of tape here, and that way I could have just lifted the drawing this way to see if I got everything that I needed. Doing it on either side makes it a little more difficult, but being that I was just giving you a demonstration, that's all I needed to do. Okay? So at this point, I'm going to show you some other still lives that students have done in the past with this particular technique. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, there's another still life that was done by a student of mine. Here is a third still life that was done by a student. You see, that's a lot of lines in there to make it that dark. You know, very few lines in the light places and a whole lot of lines in the dark places. Now, all of the ones I've shown you so far have been done freehand. This particular one right here If you're very particular, this particular one was done with a ruler, okay? So you can do it with a ruler if you would like, but that takes a little extra time. So that particular one was done with a ruler, and this particular one was also done with a ruler. And you can see, especially up in here, where those light areas are, the lines are spaced out. Where the dark areas are, they're very tight together. Medium, light medium, all these different shades that they have gotten with the line work. And all it amounts to is placing them closer together or further apart to get the shading that you would like. Okay? So, I'm going to leave that one there. And like I said, you have a choice. You can make a still life at home by taking about 5 objects and standing them up on a table somewhere and just draw them outright. Or you can print out a photo of a still life and you can use the technique that I showed you with the pencil on the back. Or you could print out something that you like, animals, still life, landscape, portrait, any of those kinds of things, and you can use the technique of putting the pencil on the back and transferring them, or you can just draw them. Either one is okay. Like I said, the main thing I'm after is that you learn the vertical line technique, how it works, how to shade and shadow with it. So tighter together, darker area, further apart, a little bit lighter area, even further apart, the lightest area. So there you go. That's what we're going to start. Project 3, vertical line.